Right, now, airlines are a business, okay? They're there to make money. Let's just say you have a passenger who's flying Bahrain, London, Paris. Now, how do we calculate the fare? Bahrain, London, Paris. We simply use the fare Bahrain to Paris, origin, destination. Agreed?
Yes.
Right, let's pretend that Bahrain to Paris is 100 NUCs.
Mhm.
But Bahrain to London is 110 NUCs. So you've got a passenger flying Bahrain, London, Paris, and the origin destination fare is 100. But there's a fare in the middle, Bahrain to London, which is 110. If it was your business, would you like to charge the 100 or the 110?
Of course,
The
the higher.
110.
100
And that's what the airlines do. It's called a hire, for hire, intermediate point. What does intermediate mean?
A city between two cities.
Exactly, somewhere between the origin and destination, in the middle. Okay. Point.
It's a city.
City. So HIP, a higher intermediate point or higher intermediate city. Okay. And that's what we're going to be doing now. So I will share the screen. Again, please remember, you will not be asked to calculate anything here. You're not going to be asked to calculate anything. What you are going to be asked is to remember stuff, how you did it. So hopefully
We have the screen now.
you have the screen. So here's your fares, Paris to London to Sydney. We would charge the fare Paris to Sydney, which is 900. But what if London to Sydney is 1,200? It's like people in London, they will buy tickets Paris, London, Sydney, and not use the Paris-London sector. They'll just use the London-Sydney, they'll save money. So to stop that happening, airlines have an HIP rule. If you have a higher fare between intermediate points and the origin destination, you pay extra. There is one special thing about this, and if you look down to the bottom, can you see OSSSD?
Yeah.
Right. OS means this is how we check. We'll check from the origin city to all stopover cities. Then we'll check from stopover cities to stopover cities. And then we'll check stopover cities to destination. Two things to note here. Have I mentioned transit cities? Have I mentioned transit? No, because you do not use higher intermediate points for a transit city, but you do for stopovers. Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, geography. Paris, London, Sydney. We're looking for a fare higher than the Paris-Sydney fare. do you think Paris to London, a 40-minute flight, is going to cost more than Paris to Sydney, a 25-hour flight?
No, of course.
In that case, don't bother checking that origin stopover, because Paris to London is not going to apply. But London, Sydney, Paris, Sydney, it's not so easy to tell, is it?
Yeah.
You check. Here's an example. We're going London, Amsterdam, Johannesburg, Sydney. So when I check the fare, I put in London, Sydney, and the date. How much is London to Sydney? Well, I've got two fares, London to Sydney. For this itinerary, which of those two fares do you think applies? EH, because we've got London area 2, Amsterdam 2, Johannesburg 2, Sydney 3, area 2 to 3. So it cannot be AP, it has to be the EH, 1750. Everyone happy with that? Yeah? Okay. Now we've got to check if there's any higher fares anywhere. Do you think the fare London to Amsterdam could cost more than London to Sydney?
No.
No. London to Johannesburg, I'm not sure.
Maybe.
There is a rule. When in doubt, check it out. So let's pretend I've got no idea where London and Amsterdam are. I would check the fare, and it's 120 compared to the 1750. London, Johannesburg, 1,200. So both of those fares, origin to stopover, are lower than the origin destination fare. Then I check stopovers to stopovers. Tell me, in this itinerary, which cities are stopovers?
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
Fine. So the only fare to check is Amsterdam to Johannesburg, and that's 1250. Is that higher than this?
No.
Is
No.
1250 higher than 1750?
No.
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 On HIP. Then I check the stopover cities to the destination. So OS, SS, SD. Amsterdam to Sydney, EH, I know it's EH because I've already checked, is 1890. And 1890 is higher than this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Johannesburg 1225, no, that's lower. So I have got an HIP, and that's the fare I'm going to charge. Okay, that's my final fare. Now, the base fare is London to Sydney. So how much is the base fare?
1890.
No, the base fare, London to Sydney.
Is 1750.
Right. So we have to be careful here. The base fare is the fare origin to Sydney, London to Sydney, origin destination. This is not the base fare. The fare we're charging now, 1890, is not the fare origin destination. So in the exam, if they ask you, you are using the base fare, the answer is no, you're not using the base fare London to Sydney. You're using an HIP. Okay, Subtle difference, but a difference. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, why do I have to know this? I don't calculate fares. But let's just say, for instance, I've got my Bahrain son is delivering my stuff. Thank you very much. Okay. You carry on. Okay. He's been to the health center for me. Right. Tell me, if Amsterdam had X/ in front, is it still a stopover?
No, no.
Right. We only charge HIPs origin, stopover, 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 destination. So if you see a fare calculation like this, London BA to Amsterdam, KL, Johannesburg, Sydney, M, and after the M, you see a city pair together. That's the HIP cities. You could advise your passenger when you see this fare quote, you can say, oh, by the way, this fare 1890, yeah, if you didn't stop over in Amsterdam, I could get it for you at 1750, much cheaper. So do you really need to have that stopover in Amsterdam? You can give them an option. Do you you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why you need to understand the fare, because you can tell the passenger, because you're stopping in Amsterdam, the fare is increased to 1890. If you don't stop in Amsterdam and you just do London, Johannesburg, Sydney, or transit Amsterdam, I can get it for you 1750. Now that is what you're supposed to be doing, okay, as a travel agent. Oh, thank you very much. So let's go over some things again. London to Sydney is the origin destination fare 1750. And we check the global indicator, okay? Origin destination is still 1750. We've checked origin stopover, 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 stopover destination. I've jiggled the fares around a little bit here. Now, we know Amsterdam, Sydney is higher than that. But let's pretend Johannesburg, Sydney is also higher than that. So now I've got two HIPs. If it was your business, which of those two fares would you charge?
1900.
And there we have it. The HIP Johannesburg, Sydney, 1900. Again, you could tell the passenger, if you transit Johannesburg, your fare would be 1890. Or if you go direct London to Sydney, it's 1750. You give the passenger the information, they decide what they want to do. That's being a travel consultant. So are we okay on this bit? Which one?
Yes.
And just remember, after the M for mileage, if you get 6 characters together, 2 city codes together with no space, yeah, that means it's an HIP. Because normally between city and city, letter and letter, there would be a space, yes?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
So when there is the country, like here in green, the 2 cities and no space, no NUC, just an amount, then this is the HIP.
Correct, absolutely.
But if there is an NUC, then it's not the HIP.
Yes, this NUC 1900 is the HIP.
Yeah, but I mean, in normal cases like here 1750
Yeah,
or here SS 1250, there is a space,
yes,
which means that it's not
it's not
HIP.
an HIP. So if we had like this green one here, if we had JNB space SYD, no, that's not an HIP. HIPs all together, and that's how we know it's an HIP.
Okay.
Normally, they would be separate because they're letters. You know, letter, we make a space. Yeah.
Okay.
But this time we don't make a space, and that tells me, oh, HIP. Let's have a look at this one. Something has changed here. Oops. Let me change it again. Yeah, I know what we'll do. I'll try and trick you. Right, let's have a look at this one. London, Amsterdam, Johannesburg, Sydney. The fare Amsterdam, Sydney is 1890. But why am I charging 1750? Why am I charging the base fare? Why am I not charging the 1890?
There is no stop in Amsterdam, no stop in Johannesburg.
Thank
So
you. There's no, you told the passenger if you don't stop, you transit, you can get a cheaper fare. So now we have London Transit Amsterdam, so we cannot use that. Cannot use the Johannesburg HIP. In that case, we use the normal base fare. You see?
yeah.
By changing the transits and stopovers, you can get your passenger a cheaper fare. And that's the point of the HIP lessons. Okay, you might need a pen and paper for this. We're going to go Delhi to MCT. Where's MCT?
Muscat,
Muscat in Oman. Bahrain, VCE. Where's VCE?
Venice,
Venice in Italy, yes. BSL,
Basel.
Basel
Basel.
in Switzerland. STO,
Stockholm,
Stockholm. Right. We're going to work out which cities would I check for HIPs. Now, origin, what's the origin?
Delhi.
Delhi. So I would check from Delhi to each stopover point. Is MCT Muscat, is MCT a stopover?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. I would check the fare Delhi to Muscat. Would I check the fare Delhi to Bahrain?
No.
Why
not?
Because
No
it's not.
stopover.
It's not a stopover or it's a transit. However you remember it, you're correct. Would I check Delhi to Venice?
Yes.
Yes.
Delhi to Basel?
No.
Delhi to Stockholm?
Yes.
Right, that's what I check. Delhi to Muscat, Delhi to Venice, Delhi to Stockholm. And I'm checking to see if those fares are higher than the Delhi to
Oslo.
Oslo fare. Excellent. Okay, next step, stopovers to stopovers. Is Muscat a stopover?
Yes.
Bahrain,
No?
No.
Venice?
Yes.
Right, so I would check Muscat to Venice. Any other Muscat to another stopover I could check?
Yes, it
Venice,
could be
Stockholm.
Stockholm, it could be
Stockholm.
Muscat, Oslo also.
And I could check Venice to Stockholm as well. So I could check Muscat to Venice, Muscat to Stockholm, and Venice to Stockholm. What could I check for stopover cities to the destination?
Muscat to Oslo,
Muscat to Oslo,
Venice, Oslo,
Venice,
Yeah.
Oslo.
Stockholm, Oslo. But all these points are really small points.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying, what could you, yeah, if you didn't know? You're obviously not going to check Stockholm, Oslo. It's not going to work, you know, or Basel or anywhere. But this is what you could check. Let's do a bit of review now. EMA. What does EMA stand for?
Extra mileage allowance.
Extra mileage allowance. So when is an EMA checked? Is it checked on point-to-point journeys?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
To have an extra mileage allowance, to check for it, the TPM has to be bigger than the MPM. What do I mean, TPM?
Ticketed point mileage.
Which means what?
City to city.
Well, it means the number of miles I'm flying. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's what I was after.
Yeah, city to city.
If a journey is point to point, is it possible for the TPM to be bigger than the MPM?
No, no, no.
In that case, no point checking EMAs. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you understand that point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. On a journey that's not point to point, all non-point to point journeys. Well, that might be right, but let's read the rest. On all non-point to point journeys where the MPM is greater than the TPM, would I check that if the MPM is bigger than the TPM? Would I check now?
If the MPM is bigger, yes, we check.
Yes, we can check that. Yes.
Where the MPM is bigger than the TPM. So the maximum permitted mileage is bigger than the actual miles you're flying.
No need to check anything.
No need to check anything. What about if it's not point to point and the TPM is greater than the MPM?
Here we need to check. Yes.
That's the one. You see, we don't check it on all non-point to point journeys because if the number of miles you're flying is less than the maximum, there's no point to check, is there?
Yeah.
Okay, what does the EMA do? It reduces the miles you're flying. You get a special discount. But if you're already flying less than the maximum, it doesn't make any difference, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the important point. EMA's extra mileage allowances are checked on non-point to point journeys. Yeah. If the number of miles you're flying is more than the maximum.
Yes.
Is that clear?
Clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we got to be careful here. When I look for HIPs, do I worry about transit cities?
No.
No. But if I'm checking the mileage, the actual mileage flown, do I include transit cities?
Yes.
Yes. And that is a big thing to be careful about. When you're calculating the number of miles flown, yeah, even transit cities, you still flew there, so you have to count the miles, okay? But when we do HIPs and we were doing the fares, we can ignore transit cities, okay? So in an exam, pressure, it's easy to get a little bit confused. When checking for HIPs in a journey, transit cities are ignored. True or false?
True.
True.
True. So you've got here the two things. For TPM, no, every city is included. For HIPs, transit cities ignored. Okay? Have a look at the top line. London, BA, X/E/ blah, blah, blah.
Yes, true.
Right, and EMA applies to this journey, true or false?
True. E/J and B.
True.
/J and B, so definitely true. What does EMS stand for?
Excess mileage surcharge.
Excellent, excess mileage surcharge. Is there an excess mileage surcharge?
Yes, 5M.
5M. Can you see here, 5M?
Yeah.
So yes, there is. We would check for an HIP Berlin to Sydney. True or false?
False. False.
Why?
There is no stop in Berlin, so we don't need to check.
Exactly, is false. Okay. So we okay on those bits?
Yes.
No queries? Okay.
Yes.
Wow, we suddenly switched back to areas again now.
Yes.
Jamaica,
T1.
TC area
1.
1. Can you remember what TC stands for?
Traffic conference.
Good grief. Yes, traffic conference. Hawaii. Now, careful now. When we talk about area 1, 2, 3, we talk about Europe. In fares, are we talking about geography?
No.
No, we're
Economy.
talking about countries, economies, and so on. So Hawaii belongs to
TC1.
which country?
TC1 to US.
USA. So it's area 1. It's actually in the middle of the Pacific,
Yeah.
which looks like area 3. But because it's part of the USA, it counts as area 1. SWP. What does SWP stand for?
Southwest Pacific.
Excellent. Again, Southwest Pacific. So that means Australia and above to the right, that side. So which of these countries do you think is in Southwest Pacific?
A. French Polynesia.
Yeah, actually, sometimes you may not know the answer. But do you think Sri Lanka could count as Southwest Pacific?
No.
No.
China?
No.
Panama?
No.
Well,
No,
in that case,
you
it must be French Polynesia. If answer A was Vanuatu, and you've got no idea where Vanuatu is, you know the other three cannot be Southwest Pacific, so Vanuatu must be the answer. There's two ways of working out a question. One, you know the answer, okay? The other one is, if you know what the answer cannot be, whatever's left must be correct. Oops. Oh, I've given you the answer. Yeah. Here's an extra one. Globally, have you noticed we're jumping around routings, this, that. Why? Because I'm trying to confuse you. Okay?
Yeah.
When you do just a session on global indicators, your mind is focused on global indicators. You just do linear format, your mind's focused. Now we're jumping all over the place and not in order either. So what is the GI for the following routing? FRA, where's FRA?
Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt.
Right, LED?
This is St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg in Russia, Delhi, Tokyo, Singapore. So we've got area 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. If I have area 2 and 3, how many different global indicators could there be?
4.
What
4.
And I start with which one?
Are you?
are you?
Right.
But this is not RU.
This is not applicable. Are you not
Tell me
applicable?
why.
It's not
Because
start-
that is not originated in Russia.
Thank you. It doesn't originate in European Russia.
and
Okay,
it
what's
doesn't end in Tokyo, in Japan or Korea also.
well, yeah. I mean, there's another reason as well, but just the RU would start me off nicely. After RU, I try FE. Could this be FE?
No.
No. FE needs Russia or the Ukraine at the beginning or end. Do I have
It's
Russia or the Ukraine at the beginning or end?
No.
No.
No, it can't be FE. All right, next one, TS. Europe. Do I have Europe at the beginning or end?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
but we don't.
Frankfurt, St. Petersburg, they're both Europe. Is there a direct flight from Europe to Japan or Korea?
No.
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 Can't be
So it's
TS.
EH.
It's the only other one left.
The rest.
EH. It's the only one left. Okay. All right, let's have a look at this one. LPB. Where's LPB?
Bolivia, TC1.
TC1. Delhi, Singapore. 1, 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. 1, 3 means Pacific. The first one we'll try is PN. Okay. PN. What do I need for PN?
Southwest
Traveling,
Pacific.
South
Traveling.
Pacific.
South Pacific.
South
Yes.
America.
Do I have Southwest Pacific anywhere?
No.
So it has to be
PA.
PA because I am crossing an ocean, Pacific. Okay, are we all right on this one? Because we
Yeah.
only did this last week, last session. No problems?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay.
Right. Which carrier fares would you use for the following journey?
PA.
Oh. Carrier fares. That means most significant carrier, MSC. What's the first thing I check? Crossing,
Origin to destination.
crossing.
Origin to,
No, okay, we're trying to decide the fares. I've got fare London to Manila. I've got fares with BA, AF, SQ. I need to decide whose fares do I use. The first thing I check is change of
Areas or sub-areas.
change of area. So London is area
2.
2. Paris,
2,
2.
Singapore,
3, 3.
Manila 3. So I am changing area from 2 to 3. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Paris
This
to
is the carrier,
Air France.
Air France.
and that's whose fares I would use. If I'm not changing area, you know, I'm not changing from 1 to 2 or 3 to 1. If I don't change area, what's the next thing to check? Changing
Sub,
sub area. So if you've got Europe, 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 Middle East, Middle East, Middle East, it's the Europe, Middle East carrier. And if there's no change in sub area, what do I use now? First
indicator. And
first international
Light.
flight, yes. So we check for change of area, sub area, or use the first international flight. Wow, now we're back to rates of exchange again. You have calculated a fare, and the final fare in NUCs is 2487.34. Convert this amount in GBP. Okay. The rate of exchange is this, round 1, decimal 2, and I'm going to add something now. Okay. Can you see this N1?
yeah,
N1? Sometimes when you do rates of exchange, on some systems, it will say H1, meaning higher one. What do you think N1 means?
Nearest one.
Exactly. So sometimes they don't give you a note, they just say round N5, nearest 5 up or down. H5, highest 5. So are they asking you here, are they asking you to do full rounding or half
no,
rounding?
Half rounding.
half rounding.
Rounding, because up or down means half. So if you get your calculators, take this, multiply by this.
128.
Wait, sorry. Tell me now, out of A, B, C, D, decimal 2, there's 2
It's only A or B.
A and B.
Exactly. It's got to be A or B, because that one's got 3 and that one's got, so those 2 are out. You've got a 50-50 chance of getting that answer right, even if you guess.
It's B.
It is.
Answer is B.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you only had, you know, sometimes you can get rid of some of the answers just by looking at the question. This is why the key in this exam is to read the questions. If they just give you very straightforward stuff, I mean, I think you'll agree. When I ask you questions, I don't ask you, what is the? I ask you, if this and that, then what? You know, I twist it around. And the reason is because that's what they do in the exam. So we have to be ready for it. All right, here's another one. I'll tell you what, let me change this. Right. You've calculated a fare. You get 2487.34. Convert the amount. Now, this time it tells you to round decimal 2. They've all got decimal 2.
3 answers.
Yeah, but round
Yes.
H1, what does that mean?
H1 to the next higher. That means
Highest one up. So
Yeah.
do you think
you can exclude A.
it cannot be A? So we're now down to 3 possible answers. So take that, multiply by that, and tell me which of these do you think is your answer? See,
C.
There's a little boy already giving me the
Yes.
answers.
It's C. The answer is C.
Are we okay on that one?
Yes.
You know, that's not bad considering the first time you've ever done rates of exchanges today. Calculated the fare, NUCs, 2487.34, convert to USD. The rate of exchange is 1. Round nearest 1 decimal 2.
No need to work.
There's,
8.
Yeah. It's D.
you're really fat. There's 2 answers that are definitely not possible. What are they?
A and C.
Right, because the correct answer is
D. Oh, no, C. We are right. It's B because it's N1, not H1.
N1, not H1, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. You see, if you see the right answer and you know why you got it wrong, that means you understand it. It's when you see the right answer and you got no idea how they got it, that's when there's trouble. Right, have a look at this linear format. Linear just means a line, okay? Nothing funny there. Bahrain GF London 567.00, NUC 567.00 end. This journey is A. What is it? A, B, C, or D?
It's a one-way point-to-point.
You've got it. It's one way. There's
Point to point.
only 2 cities. It's a one-way point-to-point. Let's have a look at this one. Bahrain GF Paris, AF London, 567.00. Is this point-to-point?
No.
No.
Right. Normally, if it's not point-to-point, we have to calculate the mileage and put an M, yes?
Yeah.
When is the only time we don't have to calculate mileage on a journey with more than 2 cities?
It's a routing fare.
Routing.
Absolutely, when it's a routing fare. So just to reiterate, if you don't see M in the linear format, it's either point to point or a routing fare. Okay? That's the only times you don't see M.
One question.
Yeah.
Now, these linear,
Linear fare.
formulas,
Yeah.
are we going to get this once we are doing the Sabre as well?
Yes. Yes, Ms.
Okay.
Fahima will be covering this as well. And if there's something that when we go through this, when she does the Sabre stuff, if there's something that you think looks different here than there, please raise it with her. Okay?
Okay.
Because both of us should be using exactly the same linear formats. There's only one way to do it. So if there's something that looks funny, maybe it's something you're not sure of, but maybe she's adding something extra or trying to tell you something different. So same as you do with me, just ask questions. You know, I know I keep rabbiting on about this, but the easiest class for an instructor is the class that asks questions. Believe me, you know, I've had students in some countries and it's like teaching dead goldfish. You know, they just sit there. You know, that's all you see. So Miss Fahima is exactly the same as me. She loves questions because then she knows she's zeroing in on what you want. So, you know, you checked this. You probably knew the answer. It doesn't matter. You were checking something. And that's what we really need. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. So we have got time. Okay. It's 5 o'clock, time for our second 5-minute break. I spoke to Mr. Ahmed today. Sorry, Dr. Ahmed. I keep forgetting he's got his master's now.
His PhD.
His PhD. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up with this. He's got so many qualifications, I can't keep up with it, the man. You know? Anyway, he was saying that the Ministry of Education is probably going to allow us to start having classes with 10 people. He still wants to be a little bit cautious. So he was suggesting you've got 3 classes a week. Maybe you do 2 online and 1 in the classroom until we're a bit more sure of the situation. Okay? Or we can keep doing everything online because I know some of you with work and everything, it's actually more convenient. So think about this before the next session, yeah? Because obviously we're going to do whatever suits you best. So you can have everything online. 2 a week online, 1 in class. Or we could do most of it online and occasionally a class. You tell us. If you want 1 a week in class, I mean, every day's a working day. Do you all work Saturdays?
No.
Yes,
You do work Saturdays.
I do. Yeah.
Until what time?
3.
3. Could
I think I'm sorry to interrupt you here.
Yeah.
I myself would prefer to stay online. Maybe we can, you know, do 1 single class just to get introduced to each other and, you know, get to see how the work is done in the class. But on, you know, a weekly basis, I mean, it's more convenient to me to be, you know, online because, you know, I have a lot of other commitments that are not. I mean, this course is very important to me. But one of the main reasons that I decided to take it because it was online and I had the freedom of time.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because all of you are working, you know, 6 days a week. I'm not sure how we do that. I like the idea about we get 1 class that we do together. And I know the perfect class is when we start doing